I quit my first job in 10 months. And it was not that that job was bad. In fact, I would say that I learned the most in that job than over my 18 years of experience that I have had. So then why did I quit that? So in this video, I'll share the reasons exactly why I did this. Let's get started. So I graduated from my engineering college in 2003 and I was looking out for a job and I did not get a job for like 6 months. I was applying to different companies. I was going on this like drives where they have for internship where there are like hundreds of people and then you give a test and you have this group discussion and things like that. So I would do that, but I was not getting a job. So I was so desperate at that time that I was even willing to like work at a call center at that time because it was 6 months past and I was still not finding a job. I had a good grade, but the competition was so much and it was taking so much of effort. And then I applied to this job and coincidentally or luckily, I got this job in a small company. So it was not such a position as an internship. Now this was in like 2003 December. So there was no such thing as an internship in this company. It was a small company, maybe around 50 people. So basically, I would be like hired to work on a project, but like an assistant. So initially, there would be like a mentorship for like 6 8 months, and I would be working on like live projects. So there was no internship at the time. Now, the way I got into the job also was interesting because there was no such thing as like a test or something. What it was like, I had to actually work on a 2 day project that they had given. So I was sitting in their office for the entire day and I was like programming and doing the actual work. So I could use any books, I could use anything. It was basically a database project that they wanted to create. So I had to create and give them in 2 days and then they will evaluate. So I did that and I got like selected for the job and then I started there. So then I was under this like apprenticeship for 6 to 8 months. So it was an interesting thing because small company, there are a lot of projects and it was my first job and I was really excited doing it. I remember my first salary that I got. So I gave it to my mother. I purchased some sweets and I given the remaining whatever left, I gave it to my mother. So I still remember that. So my expectation from this job as a fresher just out of college, I would get to learn a lot of new things. That was my expectation. I would get some good salary, maybe not initially because I was like a fresher and it was a small company. I understood that. But over the period of time, like say in like 6 months, as I would get permanent and in a year, then at least my salary would hopefully double by that time because it was very low. Initially, when I started, it was like 4,500 rupees for the entire month. So it was so low that it was not coming even in the taxable at that time. So I hope that eventually it would increase. That was my expectation, and I hope to learn a lot of things. So that's how I started in this. So I was learning a lot of things in this because, like I said, I was working on projects. So this was like a Japanese company. It was a collaboration with a Japanese company, Indian company. So everything was in Japanese. The projects were in Japanese. Even the computers that we are using, the Windows, everything was in Japanese. So as part of the job, we also had to learn Japanese. So they would give the training every like day or every few days. There would be a person who train you. You would get the books, everything, and you were expected to learn Japanese as well as do learn your work and do your job. So all the things were expected in that, and eventually you would also need to give the Japanese like NLPT test exams that they have, the third level, fourth level, whatever, and achieve that as well. Because the idea was then to work with Japanese clients, which most of the client they don't like use English. They use Japanese for communication, and so that was the expectation. And there were a lot of interesting projects. There were small projects, but they were interesting and it was like quick moving needed. You need to immediately work on it and deliver, work on it and deliver. So I was working under someone like a mentor I had, and then I would do some work and then he would review it, give me feedback. So that really like that method because there was a lot of learning in that. Because you were working under an experienced person and then you are understanding. In college, we do this theoretical like programming and stuff. It's nowhere related to how it's actually practically used and how in the industry it's used. So there are a lot of new learnings and I quickly grew. In the 10 months that I worked in this company, the knowledge that I gained helped me throughout my career. I would say that I've learned the most in this job than all the other jobs that I worked. This gave me basically a big boost in my learning, understanding the way to learn, the way to grow, and the foundations. It really helped me. Now, this is all the positive of the job. I really liked the job. The work that I was doing, I really liked. And even the colleagues that were there, I really enjoyed working with them. There were some Japanese colleagues as well. So I really enjoyed working with them, sharing the culture and things like that. The problems were the salary was quite low. It was like 4,500 per month. And I really wanted it to increase after a certain point of time. I didn't want to increase like the next month. I understood that, but like in 6, 8 months, 12 months, I was expecting it should double at least, because it was quite low. The other thing was it was like a very stressful job, hectic job, because you are expected to work for at least 12 hours every day, and you were working like 6 hours per week, sometimes even 6 days per week, sometimes even 7 days per week was expected. So lot of work, lot of overwork, and you are expected to be good at your work as well as be good at learning Japanese. And eventually you are supposed to be good enough to converse in Japanese. So that expectation also was there when you're working. So all these things, lot of like stress, pressure was there in that way. Even the projects, like you needed to deliver fast, because the as you know, like Japanese client, Asian client, their expectation is such that the quality should be high as well as the delivery should be fast. So a lot of like stress was there, which was a negative, I would say, about his job. And then I was thinking like, yes, I like the job, I like the work, but then there has to be like a balance. Even at that time, internally, I knew that there should be some balance in life. You cannot expect to keep doing this for long and not burn out. So yes, I know initially you may need to work more, but then 12 hours every day and keep on working, it becomes too much. Like, so that's what was like pulling me away from the job and thinking that maybe I should switch my job or change my job. And the other thing was the salary, of course. I also wanted to see if I can get a boost in my salary by switching to another job. So in some ways, then I was feeling trapped in the job, because every day I was doing the same thing, working 12 hours, coming back home late in the night. So this job was like I would travel maybe 1.5 hour to reach the workplace. It was in Goregaon. So I would go there and then come back late in the night. And again, early morning, I had to leave to avoid the rush hour traffic, and then reach office and again come back. So it was becoming this exhausting cycle, stressful cycle. So even if the job is good in this situation, like the work is actually good, but then the stress, you don't like feel like doing it. So that was one of the reasons that was putting this thought in my head that maybe I should start looking at other options. And then over the period of time, this thought kept on building every day, like the frustration. And then there were some situations where I even got like feedback that my work is like okay, but my Japanese is really good. So I'm progressing well, but my work I needed to do better. And I thought I was doing pretty well for myself. I was putting in as much effort I could. So I'm always open to feedback, of course. But then that was one thing which I thought like I'm putting in like 12 hours every day, and I'm not a person who's going to do like time pass. I would spend time working hard on whatever I worked on, as well as the Japanese that I had to learn. So I was working. So that was also one of the things which I thought like as part of my review and stuff, and increase that also will affect. So that also was like kind of one of the final straws that I was thinking maybe it's time to just move on to something else. And then that's the time I took the decision to start looking at other jobs, searching for other jobs. And it was a boom time for IT at that time. So many jobs are available. And then eventually after 10 months, I quit and I switched to another job. So that job was paying me more, and it had a much better like work-life balance of like 8 hours to work, 9 hours work. That was expected, and the weekends were off for you. And it was a bigger company, so there was potential to have more projects as well. And it was also a little bit closer to my house than compared to this one. So maybe I would save like half an hour of travel on this one, or 1 hour per day travel with this job. So yes, quitting was scary for me because I'm an introvert, and it's not easy for me to say no, or to engage in such a situation where there is like a conflict, or I need to like negotiate and getting some things done. That's not like comfortable for me, and it was especially not at that time. I've gotten much better over this like 20 plus years. At that time, I was like just a newbie fresher, and these things were not like not there in my mind that what is possible, how I can negotiate, and where I should take the stress or where I should just let go. All these things I didn't know. So it was quite stressful situation to quit my first job. I had to uh, talk with my boss, and they took me for like a discussion, and then they were encouraging me to stay, like giving me like certain reasons to stay. But then at that time the point was, if I make the decision, then it should be that I follow through. I even maintain that now as well. If I've taken so much time and analyzed the situations, and I finally decided that I'm going to quit, then I'm going to quit. It doesn't make sense then to have like thoughts and again try to go back to that situation, because that will end up in an uncomfortable situation, and that in a situation that you are able to like bend to the thoughts of others or rules of others, regulation of others. So I don't prefer that. So once I made a decision, I prefer to move on. So that was the first time I did that in the job, and yeah, it was uncomfortable, but I managed to do it. So I'm like a again introvert, and I keep things to myself. So the only people I share it this with is with my family. So my parents, my sister. So they were fine with it. My parents, like my mother especially, she has full faith in me, and she knows if I take a decision, it will be well thought out and it will be for the betterment of me and others. So she was okay with it, and I explained whatever the situation, and then I just put in my papers and I quit. There was no such issue, or there was no such. I don't have this pressure from other members, family members, or something that why are you doing this, or questions like that. So those things are not there in our like family, and it was like okay, it was just another day. Basically, I quit, then I served my notice period, and I joined the other company. Now, looking back at it, I don't think I regret quitting it. So I think that was one of the good decisions I did. Maybe I could have waited 2 months more and then completed 1 year and quit. That might be the only thing. But other than that, I think I took a good decision and moved to another company. At the same time, like I said, I learned the most in this company. So I'm really grateful for that. And the colleagues and everyone was good. I'm grateful for that. But then the moving also, the strength it gave me to take decisions, to do analysis of what works best for your life, then actually doing the thing that you decided to do. All that I believe is positive, and I don't regret that actually. I know sometimes it can happen that we don't like a job. Some people hate their job, but they'll remain in that. That happens kind of. I've seen it happen in some jobs where people complain about it every day. Like from morning they start working till the leaving time, they will complain about the job, about the salary, about why they don't enjoy it, or what they would be doing, or they want to quit. They keep saying it every day, but they don't take any action. They keep doing it, but don't actually take that first step. So I think 90% of people fall in this boat, and the remaining 10 are the one who take like the courage. Now it can happen that things shift also, because there's like a breaking point also, I would say. A certain point you are comfortable with the salary that you're getting. It's like a big salary and things are going on okay. Okay, you don't like the work, or you don't like a boss or whatever, but or you don't like your colleagues, but it's manageable. So then you bear it and you keep doing your work. And then there is a breaking point. If there's really stress, if your boss, colleagues are harassing you, or if the work is really, really bad, or if the company is going to stop, or something like that, then you decide to take that step. So that's what I've observed. Now, if you are in a situation where you are in a job that you don't like, or you want to quit to make more income, more money with a higher pay, whatever is the case, so then yes, it's always good to quit, I would say, because if you're not comfortable in your current environment, then what's the point? Then it's better to quit. However, that before that, I would say do evaluate things like how bad is it? Like I mentioned about a breaking point. So if it's okay, manageable, then what you can do is you start searching for other jobs, and then when you get the other job, then you quit this one and you can join the other one. So that there's no break in the income that you're getting and the work that you're doing. But if it's like at a breaking point that you're getting a lot of stress on your head because of your boss, your colleagues, your work, the company, or if you're not, the money is not sufficient for you, you reached at that breaking point, and that's one decision you need to take, that quit now, and then you start searching for jobs. But the important thing is just quit, because it's really harassing your mind and you're getting this big mental stress. So mental peace, I would say, is the most important thing. If anything in life causes you to disruption in your mental peace, then that should be cut off as soon as possible, because that impacts your health, mental health, physical health, your family, everything. So that's my story, how I quit my first job in 10 months. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.